Hello everybody and welcome back to Satisfactory. Falcon here, and today I have a tips and tricks video for you guys. I'm going to show you guys how to take your dull, boring foundations and turn them into something like this. You may have seen me do this in our current Satisfactory Update 8 playthrough, for example the Steel Highway, as well as our current project, which is our plastic, rubber, and turbo fuel factory. So now that you've seen a couple examples, let me show you guys how it works. So if you played Satisfactory, you know that when you go into the customizer and you select a color, let's just do a bright red. The only foundations that ever color bright are the fix-it foundations. Everything else is kind of dull and boring and lame. And it doesn't matter what color you use. You could try to do a bright yellow. It still comes out dull and boring. So I'm going to show you guys how to go from something like this to something like this. And no, I'm not using any mods or anything. The only two mods I use are Fixit Cam and Sky UI. Sky UI just allows me to select the time of day and that kind of thing. So let me show you guys how to make some bright foundations. So before we get into all the different settings that I messed with, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what color is. So color, we have hue, saturation, and brightness. So hue is just what color it is, saturation is how much color, and brightness is just how bright or dark it is. So those three settings are these three settings right here. So we have the hue, which is the color, saturation, which is just how much color, and the brightness, which is how bright the color is. So if we look here, this is the kind of standard default one. So you can see that it's not very bright. It's kind of lame actually. So what I've done is I've stepped it up to 1.1. And I'm going to show you guys how to do this. So if you look here, the slider only goes to 1. But what some people don't know is you can actually go 1.1. You hit select, and then you get 1.1. So that is how you can manually adjust your colors. I'm just going to go down the line here and we'll go slowly so I can show you guys the different colors. So we have 1.1, 1.2, and you can see that the outer rim is starting to get a little bit brighter. Here's 1.3. You can see the inner is starting to get a little bit brighter. So this is saturation, remember? So this is just how much color we're putting into it. 1.4, there's 1.5. And I've noticed kind of after 1.5, things kind of, they don't get very much brighter. So here is a saturation of 2.0, and just so you guys believe me here, we go 2, and that's what it is. So you can see that's 2, right? So that is the saturation mark. So if you look on the top row here, I adjusted the brightness along with the saturation, and you can see, just remember, the bottom has no brightness changes, the top does. So you can see how the brightness starts to get a little bit brighter. It's very, very gradual, but you can definitely see it. And then for this one, I went even further. So I went to 2, and then I went 2.2, 2.4, 2.6, 2.8, all the way up to 10 and 100. I kind of noticed after 5, it stopped getting brighter. So that is how you make those super bright, vivid ones. And basically the way I can see this is the brighter it is, the less texture that you see. So if you look really close here, you can see a brightness of 1, but a saturation of 2. You can see some texture. But if you look up here, you don't see as much texture because it's basically making it so bright that the texture hardly shows up. Now that is red. Now when you get into brightness and high saturations, it starts to do funky things when you get into different colors. So this color right here is Sexy Neon. Yeah, I know. I named it myself. I came up with it. So there you can see it's still kind of like very faded and kind of dull. And then I started doing the same thing. I adjusted it with the saturation. And saturation, as it got higher and higher and higher, all of a sudden you see as we get closer to 2, it's no longer a sexy neon, and it's actually more of a green. So when you're not using colors that are specifically red, green, and blue, aka RGB, then you're gonna start seeing funky things. So what happens when you pick a color like pink? So this is with the saturation at 1 and the brightness at 1, a hue of 290. So I went up to the saturation of 2 because we know what that kind of does. So there's the saturation of 2, and so it's bright. It looks pretty close to what this is. And a brightness of 2 just to brighten it up a little bit. And then I went up to 3, and you can see it's starting to lose its color. 4, 5, 6. All of a sudden it's losing a lot of its red. Yeah, so it's starting to turn into a purple, and then it goes to blue. And then it just kind of stays blue as you get up into the 10. So why is that? So we go up here to 10. You see it goes down to blue. Well, it's closer to blue than it is red, so it's going to go down to its most fundamental color that it's made of. So that's blue. And just so you guys know, this does work on concrete pillars. And the last two I wanted to show you guys were black and white. So this is black. So same thing. On one side, you can actually start on your brightness. You can put in -0.1. Just so you guys can see, -0.1, -0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 1, and that's where you get those nice deep dark blacks. Now right here is the brightness one. There's your standard one, 1.1, 1.2, and it's hard to start noticing until you kind of back up a little bit. When you back up, then you can kind of see how it's getting brighter and brighter and brighter until eventually we get to a brightness of 100, and it's a bright white foundation, which is what I've used over here. So there you have it, guys. That's how to make beautiful colors in Satisfactory and turn your foundations into something that's nice and bright and vibrant. I hope this helps you guys out in your next build. If it does, make sure to give me a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time.